content is for informational and educational purposes only. You should not construe any such information or other material as legal, tax, investment, financial, or other advice. Nothing contained here constitutes a solicitation, recommendation, endorsement, or offer to buy or sell any securities or other financial instruments whatsoever by Draper Gorin Blockchain, aka DGB, the presenter, or other associated parties for the content being provided. Please do your own due diligence and seek proper counsel.
Boom. What is up,
Good
friends?
morning.
Boom. I got the alert on Twitter and had to play around. I'm stoked. We happened to be on a call with our friends and now family members at Turf before we were doing the live stream, and we just convinced them to join. I had a nice epic fail on the call with them. We were working through something that I do all the time, and I totally screwed it up. And now that's all I can think about. Like, you guys, like I literally said, we'll never speak of this again, and I haven't stopped talking about it. This is very, very embarrassing.
That's right. But, we can talk about something better. Okay, crypto has been exciting this last week, right? Markets have been in turbulence. Like, there's this Japanese yen trade where, like, you know, they borrow the yen at a really low rate, and you know, and then what they do is they go and leverage it or whatever and make the spread, they with the carry, right? And so over the last week, over on, was it Sunday? It was like not last weekend. It was last weekend. I think it was last weekend.
Last weekend, right?
It was 2 weeks ago, right? And then, like,
I don't even think it's been 2 weeks. Has it?
Yeah, it's already been. It feels like it's been 2 weeks. I don't know, but anyways, they raised the rates, right? And so all of a sudden, because of that, it ruined the trade. And so somebody over a weekend dumped a whole bunch of crypto, and it's created a great buying opportunity for people who got in. I will admit, I bought in the 49 range. That was awesome, and that's probably the lowest I'll buy it again in a long time.
Exactly.
And I don't know, but it's the highest I bought in a long time. But it was a great opportunity.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy because if you look at the 30 days, the 30-day zoom out, you zoom out 30 days and we're up, right? So our Bitcoin is up, 1.8%, right? It sounds low to us, but if you were like in the traditional stock market and you're up 2% in 1 month, you'd be stoked, I think. So that's pretty cool. Yeah. And we're only up 108.7% this year. So we have a ways to go.
So anybody else that did, congratulations for acquiring more Bitcoin in the day.
You know what? You're a brave man, and the fact that you're able to do it, even if it's a small amount or whatever it was, that's I'm proud. Proud.
I wasn't sure like whether I should be buying it or not. I still had some bit of a fear that it's a very volatile market, and crypto market, you never know, like it's all based on the sentiment. So, and as such, I had this mixed feelings and thought like I'll buy a few $1,000s worth of Bitcoin. And after a few days, I just replied to David that I still regret it that I didn't bag.
That's you always regret, but then you move on the ones you don't do that end up lower or whatever. It's never really Bitcoin or ETH to be fair, like in the long term at least. But like you never think about the ones you would have lost on. But with Bitcoin, at least for me, Bitcoin is like the ultimate family savings account thing. I've only ever the only time I've ever spent Bitcoin was as an experiment, right? Like just like I bought coffee with Bitcoin a couple times when like to prove a point kind of thing, and see if it would be usable. And I'm talking about years ago. So to me, it's just any you acquire goes into like a separate space in your head and figuratively and literally, and then you never think about it ever again. So you'll never really go wrong that way if you do what Rankin just did, even if it went a little
Buy the
lower
dip.
or whatever.
Buy the dip. Especially when there's liquidations, you buy the dip.
Yeah.
And to be honest, like all these things that are just happening, right? This whole Japanese yen carry trading that happened, the volume of all the whole transactions, right? The whole thing that messed up is worth $20 trillion. That's
Holy
10
crap.
times the market cap of the crypto industry, and it's gonna go for a while. It's not like that whole thing dumped at a one segment, but it was the biggest dump, right, at a one shot. And like the whole crypto industry does not shown that much fluctuation, I would say,
Yeah.
in terms of
Considering,
whatever scale that happened.
Considering the scale compared to the whole industry, it's bonkers. It wasn't crazier. And I think, though, the fact that we're all so jaded and crazy in the space probably helped significantly, right? Because so many people are waiting for opportunities like this, and so many big institutions are kind of on the sidelines waiting to come in.
They don't know it. They don't know it yet. I mean, like, they don't understand the power of liquidity pools yet, and the fact that when this happens, we make fees, right? Well, brokerages Monday morning, like Schwab, were like shut off. Like,
well, here's the funny thing: those people were shut off because of because of the run on the traditional markets and all these things. Yeah. But like historically, what's really funny is like, I follow Coinbase stock. Technically, well, I don't follow it like super duper closely, but I own some, and I watch it, and it's really funny how it really directly correlates to the crypto markets, right? And there's been times when the crypto market's gone down, so Coinbase stock goes down significantly, but when they report their earnings, it's like their most profitable times they've ever had, right? And because to them, the more volatile and crazy, the more volume, right? And the more volume and the more is going on, the more fees they collect, the more money they make, and it's great. And so they're not incentivized, right, for Coinbase to go down when things like this happen and whatever. But groups like Schwab and all the rest of those groups are clearly, incentivized and tied to the performance of stocks and things on there. So that's why they
or the amount of money you have in your
games. Well, the amount of money you have in your account. And here's the thing that I always say about products, right? Like in general, the bigger moat you try to build around your product, the more insecure you are. And the more insecure you are, it means the more you feel your product sucks in comparison to other things. Because if you feel you have the best product in the whole entire world and nobody can touch it, let people come and go. You even if you don't know, if you think deep inside, they're coming back, right? So Coinbase, to the whole with that compared to Schwab, I don't know, totally, but like it's why I love things like Turf, right? And what we always talk about is all these games, all these places, all the communities that are able to participate and interoperate on a system like this. It's only going to make the whole industry better. And anyone who resists things like that doesn't believe their product is very good, right? Like, and to me, that's the ultimate.
It's amazing because like last night we've had like the first like big institutional a person from the institutional world come into our space. So I co-host a crypto meetup, and we had a Merrill Lynch guy coming to our crypto meetup because he knows his industry is going that direction and he wanted to get ahead of it and start learning. And so
how high up the chain is he? Is he, like one of us that just is a crypto nerd that happens to have a TradFi job, or is he like a high up person from the TradFi world and finally realizing, oh shit, I got to learn this stuff?
He's a solution advisor, an assistant vice president. So
cool. It's I think that's really rad. The more of that, the better, right?
Absolutely, But the thing is like he told me he's all like, we still can't offer Bitcoin ETFs unless you have over unless you have $5 million, and if you have $5 million, you have to approach them. They can't solicit it still.
Wait, so if I don't have $5 million, but I ask them to get into a Bitcoin ETF, they won't let me?
That's what it sounds like. It sounds like you have $5 million to qualify. I
Can
was
you
like, well,
imagine?
Schwab, I can go buy it right now. And
That's
Schwab.
like walking onto a car dealership and they're like, sorry, bro, I'm not going to let you drive that car. Like, what do you mean? It's like none of your business, right? It's like, it's crazy. Like, I want to buy this car. And they just go like, well, let me check your bank account. You know, like the idea that that's even a thing is crazy. Like they somehow those groups and whatever, it's also must be insurance and liability and things from the past, but like they think that, you know, I'm going to say, let me into the Bitcoin ETF, Bitcoin dumps, and now I'm going to sue Merrill for allowing me to do it. Right?
I would say, though, that is good for Coinbase, though, because if you're forced to go buy it in Coinbase, that's probably
it's good for Coinbase either way, because they hold custody of most of the ETFs on Ethereum, and a lot of the Bitcoin ETFs are custodied by Coinbase. And then if you don't, then it's the other way. It's the other way around.
It's wonderful to see evidence that the institutions are coming to this space and going to bring a lot of money into this space.
Yeah.
All right.
So apart from institutions, go ahead, David.
No. Whatever you want to say, go for it.
Yeah. I was just having a thought in terms of, let's keep aside the institutions. There are countries who are holding different cryptocurrencies, right? First of all, after all the hacks that happened recently in India around the exchanges, I had that perspective, like where exactly these countries keep their crypto that they are actually acquiring. And one of the cool facts that I've seen, like the government have kept a lot of funds in Binance and WazirX that got hacked, and they also have lost the money. So this whole scenario, like where the countries are actually getting into like crypto, where exactly they're storing the funds, how secure is their funds, and how exactly they're managing it, it's a totally different thing if we see from the top.
Even Bitcoin, I was reading about something yesterday where there was a malware out there that if you end up getting this malware on your system and you do two Bitcoin transactions, they can extract the seed phrase or something like that. You're like, what? Like, dangerous stuff. Like, we're still way early for this technology.
So what are you saying? I think this is propaganda from like Apple or
I don't know, maybe, right?
You know, you get a device, only do one transaction per device ever, right? And then dispose of the device. You know, like I do know people. Yeah, I do know people, and you know, in the early days of crypto funds and stuff like that, I remember, you know, groups buying, you know, because none of the hardware devices were very good and stuff like that. People would buy, and there weren't custody solutions yet. They'd buy a laptop or a computer they wouldn't connect to the internet. If they did with like a hardwire with no software on it, the only software were the wallets, and that's it. And they wouldn't use that laptop for anything. They'd keep it in, you know, like keep it in a safe, and then keep their seed words somewhere else in other safes and things. And I still think it's a good idea to, if you use a certain device all the time for your crypto stuff, don't be, you know, playing games on that computer all the time. And you know,
there's also those few who made it so secure that even they can access it later.
That's a problem. Well, yeah, that's I've heard of those. I've seen those. You know,
got a buddy that lost Bitcoin because of that.
I have been one of those.
I've not done anything like that in a significant way, but I remember being in an office with someone in the early days of crypto. Like I'm talking about like the Ether Delta days of trading tokens and stuff, where they fat fingered a cut and paste, kind of similar to the thing we did this morning. And I'm bringing it up again, kind of similar to the screw up I did this morning, but they fat fingered copying the, you know, if you remember Ether Delta, you have to deposit into their system, make the trades, and then withdraw it to one of your own wallets. When you deposit into their system, you created a new wallet there, and it would give you the private key. And so they're copying and pasting the private keys in a text, text sheet in a text pad doc or something. And one of the times they cut and paste, it must have not taken. So on the text sheet of the wallets that he was transacting in, there were supposed to be 4. And if you looked, the 3rd and 4th one were the same address. So one of the times he cut and pasted just didn't take. And that was the one that happened to have some ETH on it. At the time, it was like a few $1,000s worth of ETH. But think about how long ago that was. That's it probably, now a lot more. It's like, who knows how much, but that kind of stuff happened all the time back in the day. And even for most people, like that guy was doing big trades, by anyone's measure, at least for back then. Those kind of trades would move markets back then. But if you just think about those little things back then to today, even if you did that with $50 back then, $50 worth of ETH back then is thousands of dollars today, right? It does all add up. It's kind of crazy. We should do, I don't know if we should actually, but it would be fun to do a horror stories kind of reminder for everyone to keep their stuff secure, but also to be careful kind of episode where everyone comes in and tells their stories. Do you guys remember fees.wtf? I don't know if it still exists.
Yeah.
Oh, that site is painful. Especially you guys like experimenting, creating contracts. I remember, doing stuff with my kids over COVID times, the early days, and even before then, of like trying to play with NFTs and creating contracts and things like that. And creating a contract might cost you like $100, but like you're experimenting and learning and doing stuff. But it was like $100 back then was like, I don't know, half an ETH or something. And if you look at those, the thing I hated the most is they would show you how much money you've spent on failed transactions. That was the most painful.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like it was one of the most painful thing that I have seen after there was an aggregator of how much money you have spent in food delivery apps. And then this thing came out, and literally I can buy a car out of the fees and the cancelled transactions that I have done.
Oh yeah, if for sure. Hold on, actually, I think you can still do it without logging in. I'm gonna check one of my accounts and cry. We can all cry together. Oh, you know what? Oh, switch back to Ethereum mainnet. Why do I need to be on Ethereum mainnet? I'm not connecting on here. I don't want to connect.
All right.
Maybe it doesn't work anymore. Apparently, maybe that's
it does. I'm looking at it right now. They just don't tell you the dollar value.
Mine's not working. I pasted my address, and I'm not connecting my wallet. Did you connect your wallet to do it?
I did.
Yeah. See, I'm not connecting my wallet. I'm just pasting in the address. It's just
7.89 ETH on gas.
Are you talking about my Alon.eth wallet?
No, me.
Or are you looking? Oh, yours?
7.89 ETH on gas.
Oh. That's more than a new car. That's like two Nissan Versas, brand new.
That's quite a bit. That's quite a bit right now. What's the price of ETH at?
Hey,
I want to know.
You can't trade a Nissan Versa for the amount of friends you've made.
And I'm the sad part is if I'm taxing all that gas, I probably pay tax on that gas too.
Oh, you don't want to do that math because that makes it even more more painful. But let's go back to gaming and talking about the space. Actually, next week I'm trying to make it happen. We'll see if it happens for next week, but sometime soon we're going to do a live stream, not just with Adi and Dibio, but we're going to bring some other Web3 gaming friends like Crypto Stash and the Cybercode Twins and maybe a few others, maybe the guys from Racino. We'll get a whole panel of folks and have a little fun here. And so anybody who's watching, if you have ideas or questions for the Web3 gaming experts, send them my way, or join us live. Hopefully next week. If not, maybe we'll go. We could go rogue and go any random other time. But also, before I ask some updates on Turf and what's going on, you guys are doing a live stream or Twitter Spaces in half an hour also. So anybody who's listening, make sure you follow Turf on Twitter, which the account is it's, if I remember, it's Turf GG, right? Turf GG underscore. Yeah, Turf GG underscore. So that you make sure you don't miss that Twitter space. You're going to be talking about all sorts of stuff here. I think I'm going to throw it into the comments here. Let's see if it works on Twitter. So if you're following on one of the places at turfgg underscore. But guys, why don't we didn't even really even say hi. We just jumped right in. But Dibyo, Adi, welcome. Why don't you, for those who haven't hung out on a previous stream that you guys are on, why don't you give everyone a
episode 28
overview of what is Turf?
It was
What's that?
28. We last had them on episode 28. So if you
gotcha.
Go back and watch it again. Go check out episode 28 where we had.
Awesome. But what's Turf?
What's new?
Yeah. Do we want to go on?
Yeah, sure. So, welcome everyone again. Hi, this is Dibyo, and I'm just thinking that mid of the whole live stream, we are again saying hi. But yeah, so talking about Turf, we are trying to bring the competitive excellence in for all the games that are out there in the market. If you see the whole space today, all the big companies like ESL Gaming and community challengers are the bottlenecks for all the games to get the competitive excellence or to host the competitions worldwide. We are exactly solving that problem. We are making games esports ready and enabling and equipping the esports host with the right set of tools so that anyone, like let's say even an individual or a gaming guild leader, can literally come to our platform and host a competition for any of the games that are integrated with Turf. So with that vision, we are curating Turf as a whole ecosystem where there is a layered approach in terms of how we are delivering it. First layer is Turf Connect. That's the data and identity layer, where there is a consumer-facing segment where any gamer can come aboard and create their own gamer's portfolio, and all the identities that are getting created can be leveraged by any of the third party or any of the gaming guilds that are out there. Next up, there is Turf Engine. That's the core of the whole infrastructure. That's the esports facilitation stack, where that infrastructure enables any game to be esports ready in terms of having a seamless integration for them and enable anyone to host a competition for all the games that are integrated. That's Turf Engine. Now, the next segment, that's one of the most interesting thing that came up is the engagement layer that we name as Turf's Predictor, where we are engaging the viewers also who are actually seeing the streams of that particular gameplay, enabling more engagement and curating fans for the players that are out there and playing with our ecosystem. That's kind of a brief about what we are doing at Turf. And yeah.
So we have been actually in the Web3 ecosystem for quite a bit of a time. It's been a few years, and we have seen a lot of developments over the period of time. So basically, we saw that play to earn strategy coming into the entire Web3 world, and as such, it took the entire ecosystem by storm. But with the advent of time, we saw that it didn't work out very well because it attracted yield farmers rather than real gamers. Real gamers were not there. The entire onboarding experience was not at that particular level that gamers would love it, because a gamer is somebody who is there just as a passion to play the game, doesn't care about the entire wallet thing to, and then securing the wallet, keeping the seed phase into coming back to the talks that we had all over in this particular podcast as well. Like a typical gamer does not care about these stuff. They only care about the experience that we provide them. As such, we did, as an entrepreneur, we thought like what exactly we should be solving at this point. And this was the biggest barrier that we saw. Web3 as a tech is a very futuristic and superior tech. But we should also be removing all the barriers from it. As such, that's where turf comes in. It acts as a trust layer. It provides necessary tooling for different people in the gaming ecosystem. A gaming ecosystem comprises of gaming companies, a gaming orgs, esports orgs, or different influencers who have their individual community or an individual gamer, right? So we connect all the three as a trust layer and build an entire ecosystem, create them together, bind them together as a whole. So that's what we are doing at Turf. And yeah, give it
does it have to be a Web3 game, or can it be any game?
It can be any game. It can be any game. We particularly saw, one of the most failure rates that we saw was, sorry, I don't want to, put it out altogether in negative comments, but it's true actually. Like most of the Web3 gaming companies, they didn't, get as much traction of the gamers as they should have over this period of time. So that's where our solution aids not only Web3 but Web2. But at this particular point of time, I think it's the need of the hour for the Web3 companies to go out and be the part of our platform because they need it the most.
Yeah. Well, in my opinion, right, Web3 games have been, they've done a good job, or they in the past when there's certain hype cycles and number go up and all that fun stuff, they did a good job getting people to show up to redeem those rewards, and the incentives were there to drive Web3 users there, the people who know how to use a wallet, who want to play these games. And I don't mean the game itself, I mean the speculation game, right? So they drove those people there, and those people, even if the game is really good, right? Like let's assume, I think Web3 games could have done a lot better, but their focus was on the speculation and not the gameplay. But let's say the games were excellent. The people they attracted were not gamers that would stay and join the excellent game, because these are people who are trying to make money, and there's another shiny object around the corner at every moment in that kind of world. So nobody stuck around, or at least not many people stuck around. And if they go to traditional gaming communities and go to, like, again, they could use somewhat speculative strategies, right? Like they could say, come play the game, you might make money in this tournament or whatever. So they could use a similar strategy, but they do it not to the degens, us, right? They market to the actual gaming communities, people who want to play games and who want to make money. And now they'll get the traditional gaming community to come try out their games. And if they're good games, if, like we said earlier, right? Great product, you want to welcome all these people. And if your product is good, they might get new gamers who play it outside of the tournament too. And it might drive real engagement. And then on the flip side, right, the traditional gaming communities are already doing, versions of these tournaments with shoestrings and bubblegum, right? Like DIYing these tournaments themselves in Discord or however they do it amongst their communities. And if they have the tools that you provide them, they'll be able to do it better. And if it doesn't include having to be a Web3 expert to participate, then it'll be easier for their gamers to collect their rewards, to do their things, to prove that they're the best and have their leaderboards and do all those things. And so it'll only make their lives better. So to me, it works both ways, right? The Web3 communities get legitimacy, and also it's why build those mechanics and things right into your system and keep people in your own ecosystem? It's much harder to market that and to keep in. It's similar to the bridges we were talking about earlier. If you have a great game, make all the bridges in the world, right? Be in all the marketplaces in the world, and you will gain from it. So to me, they have less work to do. They put that work on you guys, and you guys are not just a platform for them, but also marketing for them. And I think it helps both worlds, right? Even the first, didn't your test game, the one that you guys did and had a few thousand users play the test tournament, that was a non Web3 game, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was BGMI.
Exactly.
That's
Yeah.
PUBG known as PUBG and BGMI in India. So we did the test run with that, and it turned out to be great. Like the amount of crowd that we attracted, it was amazing. We got oversubscribed actually. Like
So cool.
And
I want to,
do users know that they're going into Web3 when they're signing up or participating?
So the entire flow is so flawless that you just have to sign in and just tell the system about some of your gaming choices. That's it. It's so flawless. You will never know that you have to go through the entire hassle of onboarding experience of Web3, create a wallet and all. It's all social auth, so it's flawless.
That's what I think is important in this space is that barrier that people don't know that there's Web3 in the background. That it's just all intuitive and natural to what they're already doing in Web 2, right?
Well, to think that you guys did a test run, right? And you were oversubscribed because people wanted to play the tournament and potentially win the prize and just have some fun, right? Like the fact that you were oversubscribed in that and you had a couple thousand people play in that tournament. I don't know, like there's been Web3 games that had more than a few thousand people play, but that's during those speculative times and all that. But also, that's maybe 2-3 games in the whole Web3 space has ever had thousands of users, and thousands of users at the same time is a totally different thing, right? So the fact that you're able to do that unlocks, a superpower for any of these brand new games, right? Like anybody who gets to the point where their gameplay works and they can handle a few thousand users can try this out, can do something like this. And I think it would be a game changer, because I always joke, and I'm not really joking, but I am joking, that we could compare ourselves to, let's say, some of the biggest platforms in the Web3 space. Some are doing really, really well in terms of numbers of users and players, but some of the biggest ones, I believe that as much as I like them, I think that the incentives are wrong and some basic mechanisms are wrong, in my opinion. And I have the feeling, and again, it's a feeling, I don't know for sure, but I'm pretty sure that I always joke, like if us four said between now and next week, we're pausing all other things we're doing, we're going to go on Roblox, we're going to make our own game, even if none of us are familiar with the development environment. Like I'm kind of barely familiar, right? We could, from now until next live stream, make our own Roblox game and have more concurrent users than any Web3 game in the space. Like in the 1 week, not just build the game, but have more concurrent users. And if that's the case, that's a problem for our space, right? That means we haven't even begun. That our space hasn't started yet, right? So I think there's so much opportunity, and I'm not saying that to dig on our industry. It is a little bit of a dig, but it's more meant to go like, holy crap, like the opportunity hasn't even begun yet, right? And I think that's huge. And you guys could be. I'm obviously conflicted and love you guys and all that, but like I think that's a huge opportunity, not just for turf, but for the whole industry.
Exactly.
Yeah,
And also, not only that, Alan, like recently we have seen the announcement of Olympics, going all into esports. So if we see, like, if we are looking forward to like how exactly our childhood was, we all were there out there and we were like playing most of the outdoor games. But right now, it's most of the kids are sticking to the digital games, to the digital world. They all have devices, consoles to play their respective, whatever the game they love. Right. So the Olympics understood this. The world is understanding it that the future is digital, and as such, the entire industry of gaming is going to evolve with the point of time, and that's where we kind of come in. We bring in the real adoption to this particular ecosystem. We can be the next Amazon or Flipkart, from our side.
Well, it's similar in a way that I talked about, like the security tokens or like the real world assets and the things like that in our space. People from the TradFi world look at it and go like, ooh, tokenization, the word blockchain, it's scary, it's whatever, right? But if you just use the word digital instead, right? And you go, we're just digitizing these existing markets, everyone goes, oh, that makes perfect sense. And 10 years ago, when you e-signed a document, people thought of that as a digital, right? Like if I said I raised money for my startup, everybody e-signed the doc. Is that security a digital security? I think back then people would have been like, yeah, it's digital now. Cool. It's a digital security. Today we have different expectations, right? Now we go, ooh, we want the actual cap table to be live somewhere. We want to be able to distribute funds digitally without having to go into an Excel spreadsheet, do the math and whatever. Like we just have different expectations. I think we all have those same expectations for things we do. And we wouldn't trust, right? Like if the Olympics does esports, right? If we don't trust that like that the people's scores are being done right, and like if let's say there's trials for it and maybe the trials will be virtual and not everyone will be in the same exact location, how do we trust that there isn't somebody hacking the system, somebody, I don't know, photoshopping the results of the end of the game to say, instead of 50,000 points, I got 53,000 points, which is just enough to bump me into the, all of these things exist. And maybe using the Olympics as an example is crazy because I would assume they'll do things properly and they'll have a lot more oversight than the average thing. But I want that same assurance when I join the esports competition at my local high school, right? Like, or wherever there is a local thing, or if I even join one that's in a Discord channel, I want to know that, there's something better than taking a screenshot of your score at the end of the game to verify that that's how you got it, right? And this is going to happen times millions and millions of communities, right? And this is kind of like look, in sports, in soccer, in football, in cricket and baseball, there's a referee, an umpire, a judge, whatever sport you're playing. You guys are the esports judge in a way, right? The system is there, and you don't like it. Well, too bad. The judge saw it, and not just that. It's the timestamp is there. It's on chain. It's mutable. All those things. There's proof, right? Everybody screams proof. This is it, and it's just getting started. Like we're saying, I'm totally pumped on the whole thing, obviously, but I think so going back to the product, I know you were talking about many steps along the way, but the first step, if I remember correctly, is claim your ID so you can kind of have the auth login and proof for yourself if you're a gamer. And what's the first step? Like as a gamer, I think that's probably the first step. And then there's going to start being opportunities to participate in tournaments and things. But if you are maybe a game developer or a participant in a gaming community, what's the first step for you? So we know kind of like, I'd love to rally our community and maybe have our own tournament or something for a particular game. What's the first step for somebody who wants to do that?
So basically, whenever there need to be a collaboration between a game and turf, there need to be an integration in place. So this is one of the most critical thing in terms of making a game esports ready, and this is the segment that we are trying to make exactly flawless. So whenever it comes to segregating, let's say Web3 game or Web2 game, there is a huge difference in terms of if they want to adopt the Web3 primitives that are getting used or not, right? Whenever, let's say, if we are saying that all the judgment is happening through smart contracts, maybe let's say web 2 games will not be the ones who will be, hey, we can adopt it, and will not be having any legal issues. They will be always having this concern, right? For solving this particular problem, what we did is we have been looking this problem from the gamer's point of view. Let's say if the game does not have to provide us anything, the gamer is playing the game, he has all the stats visible, and we can run up a quick oracle or a software that can literally get the in-game data feeds from the gamer's point of view, rather than asking the game for all the data from there, right?
Yep.
So this is where the integration segment gets abstracted away from the game, and there is no dependency on that particular game if they want to get be esports ready or not.
So
If the
yeah,
game
so
was scripted,
some games can come immediately, integrate, make it easy. They're part of the system, which if you're especially a small game, it benefits you to do it, because then people can host competition. If you're a bigger game or a community that wants to bring a game that hasn't been integrated, or the game developer is too big or not interested or whatever, there's a way to integrate them as well.
Exactly. That's the thing that actually has made our solution very much unique in terms of having the ability to support any type of game, right? And that's our main motto. Like, all the top 5 games does have the access to big guns to host their competition at a global scale. But when it comes to the next party, like the next layer of the games that are out there, that's literally 95%, more than that maybe, we are destined to bring the same level of competitive excellence to them. And that's the reason we are building our own in-house distribution network of gamers through esports.
I don't think I ever made this analogy in the past, but I always talk about how there's a bunch of local competitions in high schools and in gymnasiums and local communities and online Discord channels and whatever. But think about like fantasy sports, right? I hadn't really thought about it till this moment, and maybe because I'm getting texts and stuff from family about setting up our annual family thing, but we'll have 12 teams in our family's football league this year, right? Fantasy football league. And if you think about how many fantasy leagues there are, like I've been a part some years of 3 of them. This year I'm going to do 1, maybe 2 if I can convince the DGB crew and portfolio companies to do 1 together, which I think would be really fun. But like, you think about that and you think about how big gaming is getting and all that stuff. What's stopping families just like mine or groups of buddies and friends from going, hey, let's have our own game tournament, get 10 of us, 20 of us all together. We're going to do a game tournament. Or I decide I want to do some kind of game tournament and I just start promoting it to the people who follow this podcast, people who follow me on Twitter, or people who I'm friends with in town here, right? Like, or on a random Facebook group. Like, you do this times not just like, hey, there's a few big games and we're going to do a Fortnite something or some kind of something. It's literally can be drilled down to individual small communities or families even could host their tournaments, their things or whatever. And you start looking at it that way, and you're addressing all gamers, not just the people who are competitive in the, like you said, the top 5 games in the world. And to be competitive in those games is pretty radical, but it's also, even in like batches of communities, it's still a top elite group of people. And I might be really into gaming, but I won't be able to compete with those people. But in my family or with another group or with another community, it makes sense. It's like me joining, like, I'm not going to go join a soccer league of people playing soccer professionally, but I might join the guys at the park who are playing every Sunday that are over the age of 40 who want to just have some fun, right? My dad used to do that. My brother does that. One of my best friends always asked me to come play at the Santa Monica airport. And I just don't want to drive an hour on a Sunday to play soccer with him because it's, I'll be driving more than I'll be playing. But people do that, right? But none of that doesn't exist for gaming right now, right? Like it doesn't exist unless you can play together, but there isn't like a proof, a tournament, a score, a weekly leaderboard, a something. This is all possible now, which is huge, huge.
And that's a power, I would say. Like even you're talking about, let's say, families or a small groups. I had this vision, like, let's say today influencers are there, right? And right now, all these influencers, if any game reach out to them and say, why don't you talk about our game? What they do, they just can go to Twitter, Instagram, or and all these social medias talking about it, playing and streaming. What if they have the power to individually host a tournament on for that particular game, and it they allow all the community members or all the followers that the influencer has to play that particular tournament and have a reward on top of it.
And a chance you might play against that influencer or join into a server that influencer is playing on too is a huge deal. Like my kids will say to me, like, I joined this game and one of the developers was in the game with them. It's like a big deal to them, right? Because to them, that's the influencer, right? So
exactly,
it's huge opportunities, and it's way more engaging, right? It's not just Dibio telling me go play that game and I trust Dibio. It's like, come join the tournament, have fun. I'm going to join. I'm going to play with you. We're going to have this whole tournament. We'll live stream it. It's a much more engaging offer, and it's better marketing for the game. More opportunities for the influencer too, to showcase themselves, to create content, to potentially earn off of it also, right? It'd be a better, a much better use of their time. You know, I think gets very, very transparent lately. Like I watch, YouTube with my kids sometimes, and like 4 seconds into a video, they realize the influencer is promoting something, and they just scroll right past it. They don't even wait to see what they're promoting, what the deal is, right? They just start, like, it instantly can smell it's an ad and move on. But they'd be much more excited to join a tournament, do something. So this is cool, guys. But so, we have like 5 minutes left, and you guys are going to do another stream. So make sure, again, if you're just joining us, follow Turf on Twitter and all that. What were you going to say?
How does a game get started working with Turf if they want to launch a tournament for their game?
Okay. Yeah, you want to go on, or shall I? I'll go on. Okay, so basically they reach out to us at connect@0xturf.gg, either there through an email, or they can, just go to the Turf platform. They can create their own identity, and there itself, there is a place for events. There itself, they can create an event. And as soon as you create an event, you have to provide the details where exactly we can reach out to you to just verify whether you are the right person who is creating the event, and our team will reach out to you, and then that means that you are interested, basically. So and that's basically an interest form to create an event, and we'll reach out to you, and then after verification you can easily create as much competitions as possible. So this is how exactly you can reach out. For integration purpose, like any games want to integrate with us, there are multiple factors. There is one factor that they want their game data as a braggable portfolio for the gamers. So they want to integrate with us. Then we kind of reach out, or they can connect with us at connect@0xturf.gg, where we kind of reach out. We kind of mutually collaborate. We have a JSON format, which we kind of give out to the different games that we kind of use to extract the data from them. When I'm saying, like, this is too technical, but basically, this is basically a gamers portfolio when we create it on our platform. And gamers portfolio is something like, one of the things, we need an entire podcast for that, but one of the things that I feel is this entire industry is unstructured actually, and it's like needs a overhaul, a digital player in this particular segment. As such, you cannot find a good gamer or gaming influencers easily out there. The discovery is a big issue. That's where we created this entire gamers portfolio. So it can be, a braggable thing. You have your own identity. You can brag about your identity, your gaming skills, your achievements in different games. So this is why we created this entire gamers portfolio. Now, this is one of the segments where Caves can integrate with us by reaching out to us at connect@0xstuff.gg.
Well, thinking out loud here, right? It was a big joke at the early days of YouTube when people, right? Like you can look at like Gary V and people like that, and you can take it with a grain of salt and be like, oh, he's just a marketing guy. He's just pumping his stuff. He's just whatever. You can say whatever you want about him, but the guy works his ass off, and the guy is ahead of his time, big time. And he said in the early days, I remember when I worked at MySpace, right? Him saying that YouTube launching, things like that, and him saying one day soon we're going to be living in a world where people will earn their living on YouTube, right? Like this is where they'll be creating content, right? We're now living in a world and going to be exceedingly every day living in this world even more, where people are going to earn their living off of playing esports games, and people will be doing all sorts of things, and they already are, but to a larger and larger scale, right? Like there's going to be more and more leagues, more and more tournaments, more and more opportunities, more and more games, and different things like that.
For 6 years, and then able to take care of it all, do it all.
And then and think about your professional resume. So if you think about esports as a profession, right now, where we do the traditional professional world is LinkedIn is the only player, right? Where you have your essentially digital resume, and it lives, and you can kind of like, do the social media thing there, but you also have this. As far as I know, I don't think there is a professional resume for my esports portfolio right now, right? For me to also not just have that, right? Like I could make my own simple website, or I could talk about it on a YouTube stream or on my Twitter account, but the actual proof too, right? That I've hit those high scores, that I've received those badges, won those tournaments and things like that. This could be your digital trophy case, your digital proof, and your home, where if I want DGB to sponsor me and put their logo on my uniform when I go play the tournament, maybe digitally, then where do it looks like you shared something. We put that in the public? This is that place, right? This is your professional portfolio for esports. Do you want me to share this link that you shared?
Yeah, definitely, Alan. This is how exactly to answer David's question, how exactly any gaming companies can host their competition on top of Turf. So it's a step-by-step guide, actually.
Awesome.
Cool. What I'll do really quick is cool. Yeah, I put the link in the chat thing. It's up on the video here, but even here, just really quick before we go, because we're running out of time, I will show that. Yeah, it's on the. Can you guys see it in the stream? Because I'm not there. Yeah, awesome. But you can. It's on the Turf website, and you can go check it out. It's a whole step-by-step guide of launching your game competition on Turf, which is super cool. So go check that out. Go to the Turf website. They have a lot of documentation, and make sure to sign up to their newsletter. Go claim your Turf ID. Do all that fun stuff, and make sure to follow Turf on Twitter right now, because now they're 2 minutes late to a chat they're supposed to be on. So let's finish this so you guys can jump to it, and make sure to follow Dibio and Adi on Twitter and everywhere also. Guys, thank you so much for joining us. Everyone jump to the Twitter space right now. I'll share it on my Twitter as well, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Thanks for joining.
Thank you guys.
Take care, guys. Have a good day.
Thanks a lot, guys.